Hey, it's 8:52 here in New York. I'm Bryant Gumbel. We understand that there has been a plane crash on the southern tip of Manhattan. You're looking at the World Trade Center. We understand that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't know anything more than that. We don't know if it was a commercial aircraft.
Now, by the entire ABC network. Good Morning America was in progress in the East Coast and the Midwest, but we're joined by the entire network just to show you some pictures at the foot of New York City. This is at the World Trade Center. Obviously a major fire there, and there has been some sort of explosion. We don't fully know the details. There is one report, as of yet unconfirmed, that a plane has hit the World Trade Center, and you can...
Conspiracy, a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. In the 16 years since the September 11th, 2001 attacks, there has been no shortage of conspiracy theories regarding the origin of the strikes.
September 11th, 2001 was a day of national tragedy and individual misery for countless people. Multiple criminal acts took place that day, which resulted in a massive increase in defense spending, a costly global war on terrorism, the creation of new federal agencies like the Department of Homeland Security and TSA, and the quick passage of the Patriot Act, which gave law enforcement agencies sweeping search and surveillance powers over U.S. citizens without a warrant.
Jesse, what would you have done on September the 12th, 2001? What would you have done if you'd been president?
What would I have done?
Yeah.
I would have done a legitimate investigation to find out what exactly happened on 9/11. How did they know who did this so quickly like they did Lee Harvey Oswald? How quick they knew Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy.
Because the people who did it were identified and we knew who they were.
Well, then why couldn't we have stopped them beforehand if they were identified and we knew who they were?
It was a failure of intelligence. Everyone's accepted that.
No, it wasn't. We knew before with Condoleezza Rice's memo on August 6th when it stated right in the memo, bin Laden to steal planes and run them into buildings. And more stuff is coming out now also, how much the Bush administration ignored the intelligence. It was almost like they ignored it because they wanted it to happen.
This memorandum provided information, not speculative, but based on intelligence information that bin Laden had threatened to attack the United States and specifically Washington, D.C. There was nothing reassuring, was there, in that PDB?
Certainly not. There was nothing reassuring, but I can also tell you that there was nothing in this memo that suggested that an attack was coming on New York or Washington, D.C. There was nothing in this memo as to time, place, how, or where. This was not a threat report to the president or a threat report to me.
It's argued that the United States government would have reason to orchestrate such an attack from the inside. As we saw immediately following the attack, the country rallied behind their president, as we were at a time of war. Little did we know at the time, the country which we were at war with, Iraq, had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11. President George H.W. Bush had fought an ugly war in the Middle East during his presidency. Could this be a son attempting to save his father's legacy? Or was it over oil, as many theorists suggest? The Middle East is a very oil-rich region of the world, and this war could leverage our negotiating position with oil-rich countries. How could the world's most powerful air force fail to intercept the 4 planes? Conspiracy theorists suggest that Vice President Dick Cheney ordered the U.S. Air Force to stand down and not engage the airplanes. Government officials blame confusion and routine Air Force drills for the lack of military response. During the time that the airplane was coming into the Pentagon, there was a young man who would come in and say to the Vice President, "The plane is 50 miles out. The plane is 30 miles out." And when it got down to, "The plane is 10 miles out," the young man also said to the Vice President, "Did the orders still stand?" And the Vice President turned and whipped his neck around and said, "Of course the orders still stand. Have you heard anything to the contrary?" Norman Mineta, Secretary of Transportation in the Bush administration. How did the Twin Towers collapse so quickly within their own footprint, similar to a controlled explosion? Questions have arisen regarding the rapid collapse of the towers. Theories relate to the rapid collapse, which was only about 10 seconds, the relatively short-lived fires, 56 minutes in World Trade Center 2 or 102 minutes in World Trade Center 1, reports of the sounds of explosions shortly before the collapse, and the violent ejections that could be seen at some windows many floors below the collapse. The collapse closely resembled a controlled explosion, which suggests government involvement.
10 o'clock Eastern Time this morning, just collapsing on itself. This is a place where thousands of people work. We have no idea what caused this. If you wish to bring anybody who's ever watched a building being demolished on purpose knows that if you're going to do this, you have to get at the under infrastructure of a building and bring it down.
How could an inexperienced pilot successfully maneuver a commercial airliner into the Pentagon? Prior to further investigations, conspiracy theorists suggested that there was no plane involved in the Pentagon attack at all, and that instead a missile had struck the building. After clarifying evidence was introduced, the focus shifted to the likelihood that an Al-Qaeda operative could complete the difficult flying maneuvers needed to hit the building. They suggest that the airplane may have been under the control of the Pentagon itself. Why was the crash site in Pennsylvania so small, and why was the aircraft debris not visible? Due to the lack of debris at the crash site, theorists suggest that U.S. Airlines Flight 93 was shot down by a missile prior to its crash and disintegrated mid-air before reaching the ground in a field in Pennsylvania. How could a skyscraper like World Trade Center Building 7, which was not hit by a plane, collapse so quickly and symmetrically when no other steel-framed skyscraper had collapsed because of fire? Conspiracy theorists say that the collapse of the building was due to a controlled explosion. This could have been an effort to destroy offices for civil emergencies, the CIA, and Secret Service that were housed in Building 7. Why do we believe in conspiracy theories? Our perpetuation of conspiracy theories is more biological than one would think. We as humans are wired to believe them.
While others, the 9/11 truthers, think that the American government may have played a role in the attacks of 9/11. Most people dismiss conspiracy theories as crazy, but the fact is, conspiracy theories can grab the attention of millions of people. So why is that? Why do conspiracy theories tend to spread like wildfire, even when logic is saying otherwise? Dr. Karen Douglas of the University of Kent in England set out to answer those questions and more. Dr. Douglas asked 250 people to express their agreement or disagreement with a number of conspiracy theories that have been floating around about the disappearance of the Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. They were also asked whether they agreed or disagreed with a number of other well-known conspiracy theories, including the ones about 9/11 and ones about the death of Princess Diana. Finally, the study participants had to complete a psychological and personality evaluation. According to Dr. Douglas, results of the study discovered certain psychological traits that predispose some people to believe in conspiracy theories. And it wasn't just good old-fashioned paranoia. She wrote, "We hypothesized that whilst variables such as paranoia, powerlessness, and mistrust would predict beliefs in well-known conspiracy theories, variables such as the need for cognitive closure and belief in an unjust world may instead predict endorsement of Malaysian Airlines 370 conspiracy theories where no official explanation exists." Basically, the study found that people who have a need for cognitive closure, the need to understand things, even if they're not true, and who believe in an unjust world are more likely to believe in conspiracy theories, and that if they believe in one conspiracy theory, they're probably going to believe in others, whether or not there are official explanations.
As a species, one of our greatest strengths is our ability to find meaningful patterns in the world around us and to make casual inferences. We sometimes, however, see patterns and casual connections that are not there, especially when we feel that events are beyond our control. Christopher French, Professor of Psychology, Goldsmiths, University of London. The attractiveness of conspiracy theories may arise from a number of cognitive biases that characterize the way we process information. Confirmation bias is the most pervasive cognitive bias and a powerful driver of belief in conspiracies. We all have a natural inclination to give more weight to evidence that supports what we already believe and ignore evidence that contradicts our beliefs. The real-world events that often become the subject of conspiracy theories tend to be intrinsically complex and unclear. Early reports may contain errors, contradictions, and ambiguities, and those wishing to find evidence of a cover-up will focus on such inconsistencies to bolster their claims.